Ooh, okay. I guess it's just me. It's just me today, guys. I'm just gonna dive right into it. Obviously, we're live on YouTube right now, so if you're in the comment section on YouTube, feel free to talk to me. I will be. We're gonna work through this Mariners 9-3 loss to the Tigers together. If you're listening to this podcast on Thursday, hope you enjoy. We're gonna drop some Coyote Picnic now, but we're gonna stay live on YouTube. So here is some Coyote Picnic. All right, y'all. John is away. And what that means is you get me. You get me for 30 to 45 minutes while I rant about this Mariners game. It sucks kind of going into the off day after blowing a 3-0 lead and 9 unanswered runs by the Tigers. And I think what it really comes down to is it felt like this game was winnable, but it also didn't feel like we got much out of the offense, all things considered. Like, yes, it kind of got out of hand with the bullpen and things of that nature, with Gabe Spire giving up those runs after he comes in. He's been pretty lights out, all things considered, with the start of this playoffs, right? In those first two games, he didn't pitch in yesterday's game. In those first two games, though, he was electric. He looked great, especially against the lefties in Detroit's lineup. And this is what I was kind of scared about, right? This is, John and I talked last week about, would we like the Tigers? Would we like the Guardians? And this is what it was. It was the Tigers lineup puts the ball in play and just has a little bit more dangerous hitters when it comes to, you look at their lineup like Gleyber Torres. The Mariners are afraid to pitch to Gleyber Torres right now. He looks dangerous. He is on a heater. Kerry Carpenter, obviously scary against righties. The Mariners are trying to exploit him against lefties, along with some other stuff, right? There's some tactics that the Mariners are using with their coaching staff and their pitching decisions when they sub guys in from the bullpen, that kind of thing. They're using things to their advantage there, but this was the game, right? This is, now you have a Tariq Skubal start coming up in this Game 5, and Tariq Skubal, for all intents and purposes, like, yeah, they're going to see him for the fourth time this year. They're 2-0, they're 3-0 against him as of right now. But this is the AL Cy Young contender, right? This is the guy. And the fact that you have to go up against this at home, it's just like, I can tell you right now that T-Mobile Park is going to be butt clenched the entirety until the Mariners can score a run. Even if the Mariners get a guy on base, like, T-Mobile Park is going to be super, super tight. You're going to be able to feel, or I guess the fans are going to be loud, but you're going to be able to feel kind of the tightness in the crowd super, super easily, and I can assure you that. So what I want to do first in this podcast is just kind of break down how we got here, right? We're going to go down game by game. I'm sure everybody's talked through everything, but I'm going to go just kind of give you my thoughts game by game as to what happened. So game 1, Mariners lose 3-2 in 11 innings. That was, to be honest, a really solid game. I believe it was an error in that Matt Brash inning. I need to remember my single whatchamacallits. No, that was the George Kirby home run. Okay, that was the George Kirby Kerry Carpenter home run. That was Dan Wilson leaving George Kirby in too long. That was Dan Wilson giving George Kirby the opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm the guy, and you are not going to beat me. You've had your luck against me for, at that point, I think it was 5 for 11 or something with 5 home runs, and it's like, okay, if George Kirby can eradicate this demon, like this is him proving himself for this playoffs. Now you look at this next game, you're a little scared as a Mariners fan. You're like, okay, this guy's kind of proven himself against him, but George Kirby's still going to come in throwing heat, doing his kind of normal thing, I'm sure. But in this first game, the Mariners looked pretty solid. They got the 2-0 lead. And the bullpen looked great. Ferguson, Bizardo, Spire, Brash, Munoz, like those are the guys that you want pitching in this part of the game. When you get to Carlos Vargas, this is what I want to talk about. Carlos Vargas looked really good, all things considered. He got unlucky with some seeing eye singles, stuff like that. He got unlucky in that first game, but I think he looked really good, and the Mariners have been kind of scared to go back to him, which is a little concerning to me because, yes, you have Bizardo, you have Spire, who looked pretty good, especially to start this. You have Spire, you have Brash, you have Munoz. Like, you've got the guys to get you through a 5-inning start. From whatever starter you get, you've got the guys to get you through 4 innings of bullpen work. And I think the Mariners are just a little scared to trust Caleb Ferguson and Carlos Vargas. And that's concerning to me because Carlos Vargas looked really good in that first start. And now you look at what just happened. You look at how many times this Detroit Tigers lineup has seen those 4 guys. They've all seen Bizardo, Spire, Brash, Munoz 3 or 4 times, it feels like at this point. And they've kind of got their number. You need your other guys to step up in this fifth game, especially in a Tariq Skubal start. It's just disheartening, I guess, to say the least. I'm a little worried as to how the team is going to fare in this case. But yeah, in this 3-2 loss, nothing really to complain about for me. I really liked Carlos Vargas in that, just got a little unlucky there. And then a good bounce back. Like, that was a great Julio game. Obviously had the home run to really break it open, and Julio was great in that first game. And in T-Mobile Park, he was really good. He kind of got the crowd going. I was a fan of everything that Julio did in game 1. And he really asserted himself. Cal 3 for 5. Like, that's just a good baseball game from our two best players, right? And George Kirby dominant through 4, and then has to get through 5, and then in that 6th, obviously gets a little shaken up. But it's a question about, and I think this is where I'm going to say it. It's a question about Dan Wilson's managing style that made him look like a guy who is trying to be the dude's manager, right? He's not the team manager. He's like George Kirby, the guy manager, and he's like, okay, man, you can do this. I believe in you, and we all believe in Kirby whenever he goes out there. But this was the moment where he was like, okay, George, I'm going to give you this, and you can take it if you want. And I think he played it a little too aggressive with how he was using his starters there. If we win that game and then win the Tariq Skubal start, we feel so much better coming into Detroit. We have so much more leeway. And that was a mistake by Dan Wilson, leaving George Kirby in, and I think we'll have a few of those to talk about here. So game 1, I think, was a Dan Wilson mistake away, and just a seeing eye single. I think all things considered, people talked about the Julio base running, but everybody's worked through that. I'm just skipping ahead. Game 2, a 3-2 win for the Mariners in what felt like a really solid game. The Mariners just slowly but surely scored a run in 3 different innings, and ended up taking that 8th inning run. I believe that was that a home run? I don't remember. No, that was, okay, Polanco had the 2 home runs, and then we were able to get the Julio double. That was what it was. I need to remember the order of all these things. But yeah, obviously Polanco, that was the Jorge Polanco game, right? That game 2 was the Jorge Polanco game. Off Tariq Skubal, you have 2 home runs. Now Tariq Skubal, any Detroit Tiger fan watching Jorge Polanco come up to bat against Tariq Skubal, they're all worried. And that's what you want to see. You want to have the Cy Young contender Tariq Skubal nervous. That's what you want coming into this game 5. So I'm okay with how everything went. 3-2 is really good when it comes to you won that game. JP he's looked okay. I think there was I think it was a play yesterday at the game 3 where JP short hops Josh Naylor, and Josh Naylor's really upset with himself because he drops that ball. But that's JP's fault. JP has been throwing so many short hops. It is just, I don't know what's been going on with him, whether it's his shoulder, whether he's, it's just his weak arm kind of finally fading on him. But JP's arm has been a little concerning to me, and he needs to get it right to finish out this season. But other than that, I think game 2 was a really solid win. Munoz looked great again. Brash looked pretty solid. Obviously that was the Naylor error game that allowed the Tigers to even come back in it. And so kind of a tough 2-game stretch for Naylor there in games 2 and 3. But I think overall, he obviously the birth of his child is on his mind. He's got so much going on. I cannot be mad at Josh Naylor, but we can say, hey, that was kind of on you. Those errors were on you, and that's okay. He knows that. He's a professional baseball player. He knows that is the case. But I think Gino really didn't look very good at home. That's the one thing that's a little concerning to me. He's 0 for 8 and just didn't look good at all in those first 2 games. We come out of those first 2 games though 1-1 after the win. You feel good. You have the off day, and then game 3 happens, and the Mariners kind of just creamed Detroit. Like, yeah, they scored those 3 runs in the last inning and gave us a light scare. But Logan Gilbert looked phenomenal. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 7 Ks. Logan Gilbert looked really good. It wasn't a 11 strikeout game, but Logan Gilbert looked great. And that's another great Cal Raleigh game. Obviously, 3 RBIs. He had the home run. He had a walk. Like, really solid game from Cal. Randy looked good. But, and this is a big but, and we'll kind of talk about this in the next game too. Julio 0 for 5 in game 3 in Detroit, as well as 0 for 4 in game 4 in Detroit. So that's something to keep your eye on. Julio may have gotten into some sort of funk. I don't know what it is. Is it something that the Tigers are exploiting? Is he getting too far ahead of himself? I don't know, but Julio didn't look that great in their 8-4 win. And this was kind of a great JP game. Gino, obviously, with the home run, gets himself on the board there, gets the one hit. That's really good. But this was the Logan Gilbert 6 innings into Brash Bizzardo. Ferguson got a little lit up there in the 9th inning, and then so we had to go to Munoz to close it out. But that was the Gilbert. That was like the ideal combo, right? At the start of the Mariners season, if you had said, hey, a Mariners start, what do you expect? You expect Logan Gilbert to go, or whoever, to go 6 innings, and then you go Bizzardo, Brash, Munoz. Like that's the quintessential Mariners start. And if you can get that in 2/3 of your games, you love that as a Mariners fan. Like any time a pitcher goes more than 6, that's awesome. But this was just a really solid game by Logan Gilbert, and we can't say it enough, right? We can't say enough about the guy. He's been very, very good. Obviously, he had the injury early on in the season, but Gilbert's been just rock solid, and so we have to shout him out there where his flowers are due. Other than that, the guys, it's interesting because I'm looking at this Tigers lineup, and the guys who kind of scare me are the Kerry Carpenters of the world, the Riley Greens, the Spencer Torkelson, and Torkelson had a really big game today. But I feel like everybody on the Tigers had a really big game today. And you look at it, and it's like you don't really expect Gleyber Torres to be as good as he's been, but he's been really good this series, which is a little scary. He obviously is their second hitter, but I feel like the Mariners kind of weren't expecting this. And the fact that he is in between, and this is kind of an issue that I've seen the Mariners having to deal with, the fact that he's in between Kerry Carpenter and Colt Keith, who are two left-handed hitters that the Mariners are trying to slice through with Gabe Spire, but there's this really good right-handed hitter who hits great off lefties in Gleyber Torres, and he's kind of just been really solid the entire series, and he's been a little bit able to exploit Gabe Spire, which is just a cause for concern. We're just keeping our eye on it. We're watching that because especially in this Game 5, we're going to talk about Game 5 in a little bit, but man, is it looking a little rough. But other than that, obviously JP, great game. Victor Robles had a really, honestly, I think Victor Robles had a really good game 3. Gino, Polanco over 4, but he had the walk. Like, Polanco didn't really do anything. But other than that, I think Josh Naylor getting his first hit today was like kind of crucial. He just relaxed a little bit, which is big. But it's just been, I guess now we can do it. I guess we can do it. We loved Game 3. Game 3 was awesome. I was sitting there watching this while my friend was having a birthday party, and I'm just sitting there watching this game. But let's talk Game 4. And I'm listening to this on the radio. I'm 2 hours ahead of the Seattle listeners, so I am just on the radio trying to catch this where I can, coming home from work, that kind of stuff. And I can tell you immediately, like, this felt like just a perfect storm of mismanagement by Dan Wilson. All things considered, like, yeah, Julio went over 5 yesterday, over 4 today. He's 0 for 9 in Detroit. That's not a great start for Julio, but he'll turn around. I believe in Julio in Seattle. I believe in Cal in Seattle. I believe in just this team being able to hit there, even though Gino's kind of been unable to do anything. I believe in this team producing. They obviously 3 runs early, scoring. I wish the big thing was the turning point of this game, and you heard it on the broadcast. The turning point of this game was bases loaded. I believe it was no outs, and Finnegan comes in. Kyle Finnegan, I think is what his name was. Kyle Finnegan comes in, and he goes, Victor Robles grounds into a double play, and obviously the Mariners score a run. It's now 2-0, I believe. Maybe it's 3-0 at that point. I don't remember when that run got scored. But that happens, and the Mariners kind of get the wind taken out of their sails a little bit. I don't know if that's because they felt like they should have gotten more. JP looked bad. I didn't get to see what was actually happening, if JP looked bad in that strikeout or something like that. But the wind got taken out of the Mariners' sails and pushed in favor of the Detroit Tigers in that moment. That was the moment that everybody could kind of feel. As I was listening to the broadcast, I could feel it turn towards the Tigers. And I honestly felt like Dan Wilson didn't really know what to do about it, because at that point you're winning 3-0, and Bryce Miller comes in for the 5th inning. Right, he's pitched through 4 great, but it's Bryce Miller. He's not had a great season so far, all things considered. He's looking really sharp. He threw 45 pitches or 44 pitches through 4 innings. Like, he looked really, really good. But that's the question of, like, okay, I believe it was the 2nd or 3rd time through the lineup, and it's the postseason. You don't really risk that. I guess it's obviously the second. I don't think there had been many hits off him. He had 4 hits. So it was kind of the second time through the lineup was coming through, or third time through the lineup was coming through. And that's scary as somebody watching Bryce Miller go through this game, right? The third time through a lineup for anybody, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, even Brian Root, anybody is going to have trouble. But with Bryce Miller, he's just so fastball reliant, and he's trying to throw that fastball at the top of the zone. And as he's fading, the third time through the lineup is also seeing him for the third time, and it just becomes exponentially more dangerous. They got him out before he got that far, I believe. I believe it was Javi Baez who got kind of the last hurrah on him. But either way, Bryce Miller, it's one of those things where you don't risk that, and I need to look at exactly when he came in, when Gabe Spire came in. Obviously, he comes in, gives up the hit to allow the second run to score, and you're like, okay, well, if you can get out of this, and then things just kind of spiral off the rails, and he gets lit up, I believe, and then one more hit comes off of him, and then in the next inning, they try and keep him going, and he's just unable to even get an out. It was just tough to see Spire go through that struggle, especially when he's throwing a lot of strikes, but he's just challenging guys with a fastball, and so that was the big scare. It's looking like, and it sucks. It really sucks. Unless it's looking like Gabe Spire is getting figured out by this Detroit Tigers team. And obviously it's the third time they've seen him in 5 days. Bizzardo, same thing. Fourth time they've seen him in 5 days. He's pitched in every single game. And that's an issue. When you're repeatedly using the same 2, 3, 4 bullpen guys, everybody's talked about this. Everybody has talked about this. I'm not going to reiterate this too much, but when you're using the same 2, 3, 4 guys in your bullpen, the Tigers and any Major League Baseball player can figure out their weaknesses, what they're doing, figure out an approach. All of those things lead to what happened today. That's why the Mariners are winning 3-0, and then they go to their bullpen and things just fly off the rails. Bizzardo gives up 4 hits, 3 earned run, only gets 1 strikeout. The Mariners had 3 strikeouts today. The Tigers were just making contact, putting the ball in play, and doing everything that they needed to do, and they were able to hit off their relievers. And this is what's concerning to me about Game 5. And again, we'll get into it. We'll get into it more. I'm going to talk about Game 5 in great length here. But what's concerning to me is the Tigers are figuring out their relievers, putting the ball in play, doing everything right in terms of as the series goes along. You've seen these guys 4 times, 3, 4 times, and you can make those adjustments. You see where they're coming from. You see what they do, where their pitch is coming from off the behind their head, wherever it is, wherever you're looking. And the Mariners just don't seem to be able to do that. I don't know what it is, but the Mariners got 6 total hits off secondary pitchers in this game. I'm not going to say relievers because Holton comes in the third inning, gives up an earned run and gets pulled immediately. But Mize went through 3, he had 6 strikeouts in 3 innings, right? So the Mariners still struggling to put the ball in play. But overall, Mariners had 8 hits and 6 off relievers that they've seen before. These relievers are people that they've seen 100%. Holton, Finnegan, Vest. Vest has been super dominant. All things considered, he's been very, very good. And lucky for the Tigers is they haven't had to really use him. He went 2 innings, got 2 Ks in the first game. He hasn't pitched since the first game is really the big thing. It's he's just been less utilized. The Mariners haven't seen him because it feels like the Tigers, this is the game that it flipped. And so now we need to get back to, okay, Brash, I guess it's just Brash and Munoz because they've seen Spire and Bizzardo so much. And it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating to have to deal with that because this is the issue of going to your bullpen so easily and so often. Is now we feel like our bullpen is our disadvantage, and a bullpen is probably the most crucial thing when it comes to playoff baseball. Obviously, your lineup is very important. Being able to put them on play, get on base, that kind of stuff, it's important. But your bullpen is the thing that locks it down, especially in a late game when pressure is on. Now, we haven't had issues with walks. That's the one good thing. We haven't had issues with walks, but the Tigers are putting the ball in play, and that is terrifying. It's so scary. It's so scary for me. So Julio needs to get straightened out. I'm gonna label it out. Julio needs to get straightened out. Dan Wilson, you need to kind of figure out if you're going to go earlier or later with your starters, but you can't be in the middle. You can't go 4 1/3, 5 1/3, and give up a 2-run home run and the reason that you did that was because you let the guy go either too long or didn't commit to him. It feels like he's been in between, and that's the big managing crisis, I feel like, in all of these games. So I'm not going to blame him, but if the Mariners lose this series, it's going to feel like a lot of it is on Dan Wilson's shoulders, and there's a reason for that. Like, it is kind of like, probably you could account one loss, just if you're talking WAR by coaching standards, you could account one loss to Dan Wilson. That's just kind of how it is. And it sucks to say that. I love Dan Wilson, but it's just like that's what we've been dealing with. So let's talk about how the Mariners can go through Game 5. It's going to be in T-Mobile Park, and the Tigers are obviously going to throw Tariq Skubal. He's gotten, I think it's going to be 4 or 5 days of rest at this point. He's got his regular schedule. He's got his Game 5. The Tigers have exactly who they want, and the Mariners have George Kirby, who is exciting, but it's probably going to be a combo game. I think he's gotten, since Game 1, I guess he's about the same pace. I guess he's gotten a little bit more rest even than Skubal, since Skubal went Game 2. But the Mariners are going to go Kirby, and they need to figure out if they're going to have him go that third time through, if he's feeling dominant, if he's looking a little shaky, how he's going to be putting guys away. Obviously, he pitches better in T-Mobile, but they either need to have a really, really short leash, or they can't be playing around. Because if they do and they go to this bullpen, you saw what happened today. I think this bullpen is kind of was our strength early on, and it will get worse and worse as the game and as each series, if we advance, as each series goes along. That's going to be the big issue. So we have to keep that in mind. But I think that's the quintessential decision there. I also think the offense just needs to be better, right? In this game today, we got 8 hits for 3 runs. That's just not very good. Like, we weren't converting. Obviously, we were getting on base early, and we didn't convert into a ton of runs. So we just have to be more on base, more threatening, and we're so home run reliant that our pitching actually needs to be better, because the Tigers hitting, just putting the ball in play, like, it worked really well. For whatever reason, the Mariners, I feel like every time the Tigers got a hit today, it was a bloop or like a seeing eye ground ball. It just felt like it was the Tigers' game to win, and that was probably because of the momentum swing, but it's just, like, I'm not sure if that's quantifiable. Like, was it BABIP luck? Like, eventually they put enough balls in play that it was going to work, or did they have a BABIP of like 500 and they just got super lucky? I don't know, and I'm not here to hash that out with you guys, but we have to kind of keep that in mind. That could be how that works moving forward into Game 5. I think if I'm looking at this, the Mariners got to get after Tariq Skubal, whether they either take a lot of pitches and make him work to get them out, which is what they did not do in Game 2, or they have to jump on the early fastball or early changeup. Like, he's thrown a lot of changeup. They saw a lot of his changeups in Game 2, and they either have to be willing to jump on that or jump on the early fastball, because the changeup's obviously his put away pitch. It's so nasty. It's a nasty changeup. Or they just need to, because he was attacking kind of the inside part of the plate, they need to cheat on some fastballs. Like, there's a world where they cheat on some fastballs, because he likes to go inside to righties. That's where people struggle. It's inside fastball to righties and then change up away, and it's a dangerous combo. That's why he's so good. But it's just hard, man. It's hard to go into this knowing you're going up against the AL Cy Young, basically Cy Young winner. You're kind of assuming that that's what the case is. And you've got George Kirby, who looks great, but probably can't go through the lineup 3 times. Like, he probably comes out, it's 2 times through the lineup is my thought. This is the George Kirby thought. It's 2 times through the lineup, and if he can get through 6 in that, like, if he gets a perfect 2 times through the lineup, he gets through 6 innings. But I almost think there's no way. Who haven't they seen? They haven't seen Emerson Hancock. Do we trust Emerson Hancock in a Game 5 win or go home game? Maybe. This is going to be, is Andres Munoz your closer, or do you throw it like, this is kind of what Scott Service was doing a few years back, where it was like, oh, is the heart of their order coming up? Is it Kerry Carpenter, Colt Keith, and Gleyber Torres, and Riley Green, and Spencer Torkelson? Like, are you going to throw Andres Munoz there, or are you going to save him for the close? Like, you have to be very decisive with your actions with your bullpen, and you want to keep these guys down as long as possible and just kind of get those matchups going, right? If you go to Munoz, say, or I guess you probably would go to Brash there, but if you go to Brash and it's the top of their order going into the, like, midway through the 5th, and you go to Brash for an inning and a half, basically. You go 1.1 innings, he gets Carpenter, Torres, Keith, and then You go 2 more innings of junk ball or whatever it is, Logan Evans or Emerson Hancock or however they get through those, and then you go to Munoz again in the 8th. Like, that's how you probably have to split it up, and you have to hope that a guy like Bizzardo or Spire can close it out, because I don't think you can just put Munoz in that 9th inning and assume that you're going to be good. So it's going to be so tough. I'm not excited. I'm going to be sitting here so nervous, guys. It's going to be so tough for me as a Mariners fan to not be just like jumping out of my seat at work. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be fun. This is playoff baseball. We haven't experienced this as a Mariners fandom in a long time. Obviously, we love everything that Julio did in those first couple games with regards to the fans and giving the kids the experience of and this new generation of baseball fans the experience of like playoff baseball, because a lot of us who are in our 20s have not experienced this. I am in my late 20s, and in 2001, I was like 4. And so this time of the year is not something that I remember. I don't remember October baseball. I've never experienced it in a real way. This is like my first time besides the 2022 playoffs where we got booted out pretty quick there. So it is quite tough, but I'm excited. It is exciting to be in this position, and you kind of, as a fan, you just have to hope for the best. You got to hope for the best. You got to hope that people make these good decisions, and you live with it. So that was my quick 27 minutes on the Mariners. I just wanted to talk about that with you guys. We're going to jump into a couple other things before we go, just because it is the Sound Up Seattle podcast. It's not a Mariners podcast. We got to talk everything. So the Huskies beat the Maryland Terrapins 24-20 in a huge comeback game. Damon Williams Jr. proven he can throw for a lot of yards, right? He threw 28 completions in 41 attempts for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had an early interception, which was what led to Maryland kind of getting the 20-0 lead. I kind of checked out of this one. I really thought they couldn't come back, but this was a moment where it was like, okay, Jonah Coleman, 18 carries for 57 yards, was not his best game. He didn't really have any explosive plays, and it's he's going up against Big Ten boys now, and it feels a little scary for Jonah, but it is not scary in a bad way. But he's getting met by some real dudes at the line, and he's not able to just rush through them. And so UW was able to pass their way out and into a victory here, but it was not an easy game. It was not easy at all. Denzel Boston, 6 receptions for 71 yards, was awesome. Decker DeGraff, the tight end, really, really good. And then it was interesting. I think Roebuck had a really good game against Ohio State, and he's kind of stepped in as that number 2 wide receiver threat. He looks really good. I've been excited to see what I've seen out of him. So really good there. Jonah Coleman, 8 receptions. They were going to him a lot there just to keep plays alive. That was really good. But all things considered, they should win their next week game against Rutgers. If they don't, we're still a little worried. But I see Washington, in the next couple weeks, they're probably going to solidify getting a bowl game, and we will see how their late season fares when it comes to the Oregons, the Michigans, the Indianas of this, the Illinois, I guess, of this season. But I think UW's in a great spot to go 7-5, 8-4. I think at the very least 8-4 is a real possibility. If not, we could go 9-3. If we went 10-2, there's a real chance that they make the playoff. So everybody pray. Everybody keep that in your minds. But UW, I'm excited for. Super excited. That's going to be great. Washington State plays Ole Miss this week. Ole Miss is number 4. They're ranked number 4 in the nation. It's not really a chance. The spread is 31.5 right now in favor of Ole Miss, obviously. So there is no money line. You can't even bet the money line. I'm just gonna point that out. You can't even bet the money line, because if you put $1 million on this, you would still win like $10,000 on Ole Miss. It's free money. It's free real estate. So that is, expect a loss there, Cougars fans. But I hope you're having fun. I hope you're enjoying watching your team play against a really good opponent. This is SEC football, baby. Other than that, real quick discussion on the Sounders. The Sounders are in 5th place, kind of right where they should be. LAFC did pass them. I believe they were in 4th for a bit, but they've got playoffs starting up here soon, so just keep that in mind. And last, and certainly not least, it's football talk. And it's just me. Like I said, it's just me. We're football talking. We're just going to work our way through this, right? The Bucks game was a little concerning, to say the least, in the sense of the Seahawks' strength is their defense, and their defense just gave up 38 points. Now, did that happen because the offense also scored basically immediately every single possession? I feel like the defense was on the field for 60 minutes of this game, but it was tough. It felt like we had that game. It felt like we had that game, and then Darnold tried to throw the ball away. That was not a pass on that interception that kind of sealed the game there. That was not a pass to anybody. That was him trying to throw the ball at the ground, and it bounced off the lineman's head and kept it in the air enough for a defender to make a play on it, get the interception, and when Baker Mayfield gets the ball with 2 minutes left, you just feel like the Bucs are going to win it, right? If it's a tie game or if they're down 2 or 3. So that is the big scare. But other than that, I think the Bucs are a really good team. Emeka Egbuka showed out, man. That guy is so good. That was a battle of Ohio State receivers in a real way. So props to him. He's going to be great for a long time in this league. Let's do a quick look ahead at Week 6 because I really don't want to talk about that Bucs game anymore. It's going to frustrate me, the defensive miscues, I guess is what I can say. The defensive miscues for the Seahawks were not that great, and obviously just the one main mistake for Sam Darnold. But Week 6, we got the Jags, and the Jags are looking better than I think that they are, in the sense of they're 4-1. They just beat the Chiefs, and it doesn't feel real yet. It doesn't feel like the Jags are a 4-1 team. It doesn't feel like they're the upper echelon of NFL teams. That's kind of where I've landed. It feels like the Jags are firmly in the same tier as like the Colts, where they're a team that's 4-1, but there's like the Bills, even the Chiefs, even the Ravens not right now, but Bills and the Chiefs still feel like they're kind of that upper tier, and then it's like the Jags and the Colts in the AFC, and the Seahawks I think are in the same tier when it comes to like the top tier of the NFC is the Eagles, and then it's like the Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, or I guess the Bucs are probably up with the Eagles actually, but then it's like the 3 NFC West teams, and you've got just like a real competition for that kind of second tier best team. And I think this is a good game for them. I think this is a really good game for the Seahawks to see, okay, are we going to be able to compete in this playoff, in the playoffs now, or are we going to lose to good teams? Like, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be how we figure it out, because they lost to the Steelers, they lost to the Niners, but they were able to beat the Steelers. They were able to beat the Cardinals, and it's just been a pretty solid season overall by the Seahawks, but this is going to be the real test of, like, can we beat good teams? And I'm excited for this one. I do think that defensively we're so good against the run, and that's the Jags' strength. So we'll see how those two things match up. I think the Seahawks defense is going to look very, very good against Trevor Lawrence in terms of the pass coverage, secondary work, and things like that. So all things considered, I think it's a good matchup for the Seahawks there. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be at least like one interception. The Seahawks are going to plug up the holes in the defensive line, and they'll be really, really solid. And I expect this to be less of a scoring fest, like less like the Bucs game and more like the Steelers game that we saw, where the Seahawks can just really compete with a team that has kind of a one-dimensional offense. And because, Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ, and Travis Hunter, like the receiving core, and obviously Strange is out too. Like, Strange being out for the Jags is really, really big. He's a really good run blocking tight end. Like, I think the strengths of this Jags team are something that the Seahawks are actually really well equipped to deal with. So I'm excited for this. I think the Jags defense is probably going to be opportunistic. If you are a betting man, I would have Sam Darnold to have an interception in this game. It's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. But that being said, I'm excited for this one. I think the Seahawks will win. And with that, it's time for our Week 6 NFL Value Dogs. I've got John's picks. Don't worry. He sent me his picks. I've got everything locked and loaded. We're going to talk real quick. Last week, we've had the same record every single week. Last week, we both went 2-1. Overall, now we are 7-8 on the year. Value Dogs, if you're new here, they are our underdog picks each week. We pick 3 teams, and each of us picks 3 teams in the NFL to cover their spread as the underdog. So the underdogs are people that would get points if you took them in their bet. So with that being the case, we each take 3 because it's the more probable outcome. Underdogs win a majority of the time. It's like 55% of the time. I need to check what it's been this year so far, but I think it's hovering around 50 right now. So we're at about average. We're looking exactly average. And with that, I'm just going to give you our picks. So for the first pick, we both had the same first pick. We were both pretty excited about this line, and it's because of what I just said. It's the Seahawks plus 1.5 against the Jags. That is value right there, especially if you think the Seahawks are going to win this game outright. Like, 1 point is not that many, 1.5 points. You don't get that much, but this is a line that you take because you believe in the Seahawks against this Jags offense. And there's solidity, solidity against the defense in terms of providing offense. I'm looking at this Seahawks team to be very, very efficient on the ground. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet expected to have big games. And then obviously JSN, I think, will have a couple big catches. But I think this is going to be a nice run-heavy game where the Seahawks control the ball for most of it, and they can cover this 1.5-point spread. Next up, I'm going to give you my second pick, and my second pick is an exciting one. The Bears plus 4.5 versus the Commanders. The reason I take this line, you're like, what? The Bears aren't that good. The Commanders are 3-2. Like, the Commanders looked really good last year. The Bears are coming off a bye week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this Commanders team, and the Commanders are pretty banged up. They're an old team, and offensively, I think the Bears will have a lot of kind of weapons. This is a game where the Bears want to be in contention for the playoffs still. They want to find that 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs, and I think they kind of need to win this one if they're going to be one of those teams in the NFC. So this is a battle of like 2 teams that really need this game. In terms of if the Commanders lose this one, it's looking like a regression type season for them. So I've got the Bears covering this 4.5 line, and I'm excited about that one. For John's second pick, he has the Dolphins plus 4.5 against the Chargers. This is a hot pick, and I can understand where he's coming from. This is a Chargers banged up offensive line, and the Dolphins, I don't know why they would. 4.5 points is a lot for the Dolphins, but I don't really see it. But anyways, that's John's pick. I'm going to let him have that one. I understand the Chargers have lost 2 straight. I get it. I understand. It's the Dolphins, though. The Dolphins are bottom of the barrel when it comes to the NFL. So we will see if they cover that one. But I hope this is, and in my mind, it's not to spite John, but I hope that this is a bounce back week for the Chargers because I kind of want them to be good. I like Justin Herbert. I've been just like a fan of them as a team. Like I can appreciate the Chargers, so I want them to bounce back here. Hope they can slaughter the Dolphins. For my third pick, I am going to go with the Browns plus 5.5 or 6.5, depending on where you get these odds. But plus 5.5 or 6.5 versus the Steelers. I'm going to take the 5.5 just for the, I'll take the low value. It is what it is. Versus the Steelers, I think the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers will be under duress a lot of this game, and the Browns have looked. Dylan Gabriel looked serviceable. Like they just traded Joe Flacco, and I think this line is kind of representative of that. But they just traded Joe Flacco. And I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be just as good, if not better. So I like the plus 5.5. I think Judkins is going to have a really good game against the Steelers. And it's a true test of like, okay, are the Steelers really that good? Because I think the Browns can win this game. It's a question of if the Browns want to win this game. But either way, 5.5 or 6.5 is a lot of points. You just take that where you can. It's good value. For the last and final pick of our value dogs for this week, John has taken the Lions plus 2.5 against the Chiefs. And I see this 100%. The Lions look really good. The reason this is plus 2.5 is because the Chiefs need this win. It's kind of insane, but the Chiefs are 2-3 and the Lions are 4-1. And I think the betting public is just like, hey, the Chiefs need to win this game, right? And so a lot of people have their money on the Chiefs winning this game. But the 2.5 points is good value, right? It's a really good Lions team. I think this is going to be a high-scoring battle, and it's if the Chiefs can keep up offensively. So I like that. Other than that, guys, there it is. I know it was a quick one. It's just me. I had to talk for 40 minutes. I know it's exciting stuff, but we just had to talk about the MLB playoffs because John's not here, but it has to be done, right? We're the Sound Up Seattle podcast, and if the Mariners don't make it out of the ALDS, like we're gonna feel so bad if we hadn't talked about it beforehand. So this is it. Until then, we'll see you guys next week. We might have a reaction podcast for like 20 minutes. For the ALDS, whether it's a win or a loss, we'll have a reaction to that probably. So stay tuned in there. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. And I get you here. I'll give you the spiel anyways. For Tyler Cartwright, not John Kerry. This has been the Sound Up Seattle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode of Sound Up Seattle, check us out on YouTube. We're live there as this is going on right now. We're live there. You can find us on YouTube at Sound Up Seattle. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at soundupseattle@gmail.com. You can email us questions. Sorry, that was the email. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at soundupseattle, all lowercase, all one word. You can find me, Tyler, at TyCart50, everywhere it's important. And you can find John hanging out. He's right there. He exists. Wrong side. He exists over there to my right. So he's there. He's just chilling with his fish hat. I think I made that a fish hat when I drew that. But anyways, with all that being said, guys, lock in. The Mariners need this Game 5 so badly. They need to lock in. They need to beat Tariq School for the 4th time. I believe in them. It's going to be tough. Obviously, after today, everybody's disheartened. It's going to be a rough 48 hours of Seattle sports coverage, but I believe in them. It's got to be a go, Nurse.